Time now for Alan Hahn's Knicks Fix, and as always, we say hello to Alan downstairs in our Squarespace studio. Alan, 20 games left for the Knicks this season. What do you think RJ Barrett's going to try and accomplish here down the stretch?
Well, what it looks like he's trying to do is what he does all the time when he has the basketball, is finish strong. I mean, that's really what you want to see in your rookie season. And he looks like he's been doing that over the last 4 games. He's averaging 19 points a game and shooting 55% from the field, and that's excellent. He had talked earlier this week about how he is getting back into his rhythm, and what he's learning about the NBA game is that how he can find his spots, get to his spots. That's something Bernard King always talks about. Have your spots on the floor, know how to get to them. But RJ also admitted that ankle injury he suffered in January, where he missed about 9 games, that got him off his game a little bit, and it took him some time to get back into rhythm. And that's what he's got going right now. He's back into his rhythm. Now, we know at this point he's not considered a candidate for Rookie of the Year. Ja Morant looks to be running away with it, and Zion Williamson is giving a bit of a push. But Barrett's had a first-team all-rookie type season, and he's up there in all the major statistical categories, leading all of the rookie players, or among the leaders. And since the All-Star break, you're seeing what he's doing as well. As we can see, Zion has just been incredible, as we know. Kobe White's had a heck of a run for the Bulls. Kendrick Nunn's been a great story. Pascal's getting a ton of time there with the Warriors, and then Ja we've talked about, and then there's RJ and his impressive numbers. Now, out of these 6 players, only Morant and Nunn are teams in the playoffs right now. Zion's trying to get the Pelicans to make a late push, but everybody else is trying to finish the season strong. And by the way, speaking of finishing strong, as I had mentioned at the very beginning, we all know that at 19 years old, it's the difficult thing to do is to play among the strong grown men in this NBA, especially getting to the basket. But that's something that RJ's been doing all season. And you remember that winning basket against the Rockets against P.J. Tucker, who's a tough defender. That's very impressive. Now, since the All-Star break, Barrett is showing that he is tough to stop in the paint. He's shooting 57% on drives to the basket, according to NBA tracking data, and 70% of his points have come on drives to the basket. So that's a great area that he has to build off of. Now, the three-point shooting can certainly be a great complement to that. Now, since the All-Star break, he's shooting 35% from 3. That is something he can work on and get better. And can you imagine how tough he'd be to defend if he's got a three-point shot you have to respect and a drive that he's already proven that he can use as a weapon?
Alan, tonight's opponent, OKC, what an amazing story. They trade Paul George to get all the draft picks back. It's supposed to be a rebuilding year, and they come into tonight's game, however, 6th overall in the West. They're a lock for a playoff spot. And you know what? When you look at the Knicks almost have as many picks coming up as OKC does.
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder are a great story, and that's something certainly we'll be talking about a lot tonight. But let's talk about something Leon Rose mentioned when he was named team president, and that is that the cupboard is not bare here whatsoever. And in fact, if you think about all the first rounders, and you know, I always say it's the currency of hope, those draft picks. Well, it's first round picks are really currency in today's NBA because you can use them in many different ways. It makes you richer the more picks that you have. Well, the Knicks and the Thunder, as you mentioned, they have the most first-round picks of any NBA teams. And so we'll take a look at the Thunder. As you mentioned, the trade, Paul George, they got 5 picks there, and Russell Westbrook, they got 2 there. Look at all of these picks that they have. They have 13 total over the next 6 drafts. It's really amazing if you think about it, and that sets you up. You have a lot of options here to go with, and their own picks as well. Now, the Knicks, remember, they got 2 firsts for Kristaps Porzingis. They got another first from Marcus Morris last month. That gives them 9 over the next 6 drafts. And you look right there over the next 2 years, how many picks they'll have. And they could be very busy there. Now, it's worth noting the New Orleans Pelicans, they have 8 first rounders, and that's also in part to the Anthony Davis trade that helped them there. Now, here's the question, Bill, and we always talk about this with draft picks and the value in them. Of all those picks we talked about, 13 for the Thunder, 9 for the Knicks, 8 for the Pelicans, how many of them will be actual draft picks, and how many of them will be used to acquire players in a trade?
I guess we will see. So OKC gets the 5 number 1s back from the Clippers in the deal for Paul George. They also get Danilo Gallinari, the former Knick who went for Denver in the trade for Carmelo Anthony. And you know, you look at Gallinari's run here, he has had one heck of a pro career.
Yeah, it really is. It's hard to believe for someone like me who covered his draft in 2008 that it's been 12 years since the Knicks made him the 6th overall pick in that 2008 draft, and the player that we got to know for a couple of years here in New York before he was traded to Denver in the Carmelo Anthony trade. But he really has had some NBA journeys. 31 years old right now, and yet he might be playing his best basketball. Remember, he missed an entire season because of an ACL injury, and he had to get himself back to this level where he actually had a couple other injuries that slowed him down. But he comes into this game averaging 19 points a game, shooting 41% from three-point range. And you think when he came into the league as a 19-year-old, he was 6'10". He was before his time. Now the stretch fours are everywhere. What he does, everybody's doing. And he's got the smarts. He's a great passer. He's everything you would want in a pro. And again, he becomes an unrestricted free agent this summer. But Doc Rivers, who coached him with the Clippers, I think had a really complimentary quote about him when he talked about Gallo's game. He said, it's funny, everywhere he goes, he just keeps playing and keeps scoring, and talking about how he does it all with not a lot of fanfare. He's never been an all-star throughout his career, yet he's averaged 16 points a game throughout his career. And tonight, he's actually 263 points away from 10,000 for his career. He should be able to get that done very quickly. And Doc called him a quiet assassin. That's probably the best way to describe it. And while he's been through a lot, he is somebody that's probably peaking right now at the age of 31. It'll be interesting to see what happens for him in free agency.